1st, 2026, Pocahontas County Board of Education. We'll start by calling the meeting to order and opening with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any delegations?
No, ma'am.
All right. Any recognition?
No, ma'am.
Okay. School improvement updates.
All right, I have a couple of things in the folder. Would you like for me to go, Mr. President?
Sure.
I have a couple of things in the folder that I want to review. And it falls under your tab 5A. The first one is one of the original readings for our state of emergency. One of my educator evaluation goals for last year as superintendent of schools and one of the county board's goals last year was to correct all of the monitoring findings and be released. So the first one is the monitoring from the Office of Special Education has reviewed the final documentation submitted by Pocahontas County Schools in accordance with the findings of noncompliance from the special circumstance, special education on-site monitoring visit conducted in April of 2025. Upon review, the Office of Special Education has determined that the documentation submitted verifies the corrections of the identified findings of noncompliance issued in July 2025 monitoring report. Basically, this is saying the correspondence closes the special education on-site monitoring for Pocahontas County Schools. We owe a tremendous amount of thanks to all of our teachers, all of our principals, our special education director, all of our directors, everyone that was involved in correcting those findings. Kudos. Because we have done it. We are officially released and all of the things have been turned in.
Could not agree with you more, Ms. Williams.
Thank you. Then the next letter is, each year there's an annual determination to say, does Pocahontas County Board of Education, does every 55 boards of education meet the requirements for the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act of 2004. The state requires an annual determination of each local education agency regarding compliance with the IDEA. And if you turn to the second page of that report, you will see that it says Pocahontas County Schools meets the requirements related to the implementation of IDEA and has been assigned a determination of meets requirements, which is also a huge deal. So again, thank you to all of the staff members, all of the administrators, our new special education director, for all of the hard work that has taken place in getting our school system this meets requirements. The next thing in our school updates is the termination levels of performance for CTE, and you look across the board there. And this is just our report. It says what percentage we have for our CTE at each of our academic areas. And it has a 4-year longitudinal data there for us. And you can see that we've maintained on that as well. So again, congratulations to our CTE director, our CTE teachers, and our principals. And this will eventually go on to CTE accountability dashboard. It has not been officially updated yet, but we are also proud of the accomplishments that we have made there. We've had some slight improvements, but nonetheless, any improvement is a good improvement. Any questions on any of those 3 documents?
Okay. Thank you, Chair. I like that.
You're welcome. So the next thing I'm going to look at is I have 2 additional items that's under school improvements. And both of these items that we're going to look at today are related to requirements in code. So I'm going to start off with the annual board member special education training. Did we put that in there? They have that or no?
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna move to the podium. Oh, that's it. That is it. And it's this training right here, so people see. And this is a requirement for all boards of education. Little logo, that kind of, last year Stronger Together was our logo. This year we're building on teams, and that's a large part of our summer professional development. So a little acronym for teams, together, everyone achieves more, one team, one purpose, every child. So thinking about our work ahead of us, this training is required under West Virginia House Bill 2499. It was passed through the 2025 West Virginia regular legislative session. The West Virginia code for this training is 18A-3-13, and it's one of the plethora of things that have to be done every year. We have about 50 or 60 that our staff's required to be informed of every year. Would that be correct, Ms. Schaffner? So the purpose of this training is to ensure that school leaders receive training on special education law, and those school leaders starts with the Board of Education, central office staff, which they are all here, and all of our principals will be trained on this. This training in turn is given to the principals, and the principals will do some sort of training, or the staff members will be trained on Vector, which is our electronic digital solution to meeting various laws of training. And last year, I believe we had about 9.5 hours of Vector videos to watch. It was a lot to keep up with. So it does support federal IDEA and state 2419. So the purpose of this is to improve knowledge of special education law, to protect the rights of students with disabilities, to help schools properly implement individualized education plan, also known as IEPs, to reduce violations of federal and state special education requirements. And we know a little bit about that because we've been in that hot seat. And I would like to add that we will be in that hot seat again because we are getting monitored this year. Again, for special ed, it's our regular compliance monitoring. So because there's a lot of jargon and we have 3 new board members, I thought I would just cover some of the basics of what this is to make sure that we're all on the same page and understand. So what is policy 2419? It's a West Virginia Board of Education policy. It's a state policy for implementing federal IDEA law.
It's 2499, isn't it?
That's the House bill that requires the training. The next page.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That's okay. Next page is the page that says
Yeah, 2419.
2419. So West Virginia's regulations for educating students with exceptionalities. Sometimes we use the word disabilities and exceptionalities interchangeably. Implementation of the required IDEA law in West Virginia, and it's going to explain procedures for evaluation of students, eligibility of students, the IEP development, which is that big plan that each student gets, special education services for students, discipline of students with exceptionality, and parent participation in that process. And that's called the IEP team. Why this matters is policy 2419 helps schools consistently follow state and federal special education law. So another term that's used frequently that a lot of people don't understand is least restrictive environment. Educators, we just say LRE. And a lot of people don't know what we're saying. We're saying LRE, but we're saying the least restrictive environment. So what is least restrictive environment? Students with disabilities should be educated with non-disability peers to the maximum extent appropriate. And there's a continuum that I'll put over there on the side that shows from the least restrictive environment to the most restrictive environment. So the least restrictive environment is a regular education classroom with a general education teacher. That's where you integrate your students with exceptionalities in. And then the next level would be a regular classroom with a special education teacher to help provide accommodations and modifications for that student. Then we go a regular classroom with pull-out services. So they're in the regular classroom getting that core instruction, and then they have pull-out services for the implementation process because they need some one-on-one services. And then there's what's known as a separate classroom altogether. They're so far behind their grade level peers that they are instructed in a smaller setting with a special educator, not a general educator. And then a separate school for students who have exceptional disabilities. When we lived in Pennsylvania, we lived there for 10 years, and we had what was called the Gertrude Barber Center. And I volunteered there when I was going to college. And students that had autism or severe autism, that was a special school to teach them how to be functional. So that's a separate school for that type of thing. And then we have home education options when students are homebound for special services. And then we have the most restrictive options where students' disabilities are so profound that they are institutionalized for a period of time. Now, typically, those disabilities are associated with some kind of behavior, a behavior disorder or an emotional disorder. And we can see that students are institutionalized for that. So that's the continuum of services. And that's what that looks like, all the different options for students with special needs. Then we go to staffing for case manager procedural accountability. So a case manager is a professional special education personnel may be assigned to a group of students for whom they not only provide direct or indirect services, and that's what I showed you on that continuum is direct and indirect services, but for whom they provide special case management or procedural accountability duties. These duties may include, but are not limited to, parent notices being sent out, and that's called a prior written notice, scheduling the IEP meetings, reporting progress to parents, coordinating services for students, tracking timelines to make sure that we are getting them on time, and managing the paperwork, which is associated with the writing of the IEP. The maximum number of students assigned to service providers, which is our case managers in our school, and case managers are also referred to as a special education teacher, are listed over here on the side. So I want to go over this. Teachers of students with developmental delays, grades pre-K through K, 20 students with IEPs, and for class sizes with pre-K, 50%, up to 50% can have an IEP or pre-K, but somebody in there has to have the special needs certification. Teachers of gifted can have a caseload of 50 gifted students. Speech therapists can also have a caseload of 50 for primary and related services. Teachers of all other exceptionalities, including a developmental delay, grades K2, 30 C class size requirements, and I'm going to go over that, so they can have a caseload up to 30 IEPs that they manage. Then we get into, and you're going to hear a lot of this. This is a hot topic at the legislative level because we're talking about funding. And students are classified by various levels, and those levels are level 1, level 2, and level 3 based on the degree of their exceptionality. And that's that continuum that I showed you. So on this chart, this helps explain class size restrictions. And these help students receive individual instruction, prevent special education teachers from having excessive caseloads, allows teachers to effectively implement their IEPs, and supports a safe and productive learning environment. And I tried to cite where I pulled this information from, generally, because our policy is really thick, if you want to go back and read it. So, level 1 service needs. Level 1 service needs is that first continuum, that first and second spot where students are in the general classroom, either working independently or a special educator is in the classroom with the general educator, helping provide accommodations and modifications. So that's kind of a level 1. Would that be fair, Mr. Anderson?
Yeah.
So in K2, 12 students with a minimum staff ratio of 1 to 6. In grades 3-5, and these are the early learning grades, 12 students with a minimum staff of 1 to 8. Middle school and high school programs is 12. The problem that we experience is it can't be any more than 50% and not have a special educator in there is because our schools are so small and our classrooms are so small. So if we have 10 students in a classroom and 5 of them have an IEP, we have to get away from it because we're at the limits and we reach those limits frequently. And that's one of the things that we have to work on because our classrooms are so small. So the smaller the classroom is, the quicker you get to the maximum level. Level 3 service needs is much smaller because of the types of disabilities, and that's lower on that continuum chart. So you have to start thinking, are they in there part-time, in their pull-out part-time? Are they only taught by a special education teacher? Or do they need some kind of special services outside the school system to meet their needs? So what is level 3? There's a lot of questions about that. And I have a lot of questions about that, and I'm constantly questioning it. Can you check about this? Can you check this? I want to know what this means, blah, blah, blah. Because in the state legislature, they are talking about funding students with higher levels of disabilities at a greater funding rate. So let's say your level 1's funded at $5,000. A level 3 may require an individual aid. So they need to be funded differently. Right now, they're all funded the same. So that's what the conversation is about right now. So typically, but not exclusively, these students demonstrate those needs shown at level 2 as well as other needs, such as these needs listed below. Intense adult supervision across all settings. For example, when I was principal at Eastern Greenbrier Middle School, we had a student that could not go from class to class. I had to assign somebody to walk that student, pick them up at the door, walk them to the next class, or they didn't go to class, or they left the school building. They ran away. So I had to have somebody supervise that student. And they may have gotten in class and bit somebody, or hit somebody, or beat somebody up, or tore the whole classroom down. So constant adult supervision is what we're talking about. Intense instruction services, safety assistance, is kind of what I'm talking about, and supervision to learn and maintain skills. I had another student, when I was principal of a different school, that every task that they had to do, get your book, somebody had to help them get their book out, turn to this page, somebody had to help them turn to that page. So they had to have intensive supervision while in the classroom, somebody sitting with them. There's other students that have to have hand-over-hand services. They can't respond, so somebody has to help them respond. So transition services that include coordination and linkages with the Office of Behavioral Health Sciences, intellectual development disabilities. We have to work on waiver programs, rehabilitation services, and when we're transitioning out of school, adult community services. What jobs have you been trained for and how successful? So teamwork makes the dream work for our students with exceptionality. So parents have a right to participate in the IEP meeting, receive prior written notice before changes are made to a student's IEP, consent to evaluations and initial services, review educational records, request independent educational evaluations, and use mediation or due process if disagreements occur. This year, we've actually had, I want to say 4. We had 2 when I first got here, and 4 since I've been here, mediations at the school level. And here's what that means. The principal and the teacher said this, the parent said this, parent got an advocate, we had to call a special mediator in that worked with those people to bring them on the same page so we could finish the IEP. Some of those meetings have taken 2 days, some of them have taken 2 times. So those are very intense meetings and a lot of mediation goes on. Why does this matter? Because parents are equal members of the IEB team and play an important role in the educational decisions of their students. So, teachers have due process rights. Students have them, teachers have them, parents have them. So teachers' due process rights include receiving appropriate training on special education requirements. And we are offering that training for all teachers, all staff members that want to attend on August the 11th. And we'll have additional trainings throughout the year. Following established procedures for implementing the IEP, protection when carrying out responsibilities according to state and federal law, access to guidance and support from administrators in their building. And we do have a hired consultant that is a teacher that acts as a mentor to our teachers, and we'll be keeping her, and she acts as a mentor to Mr. Anderson as we're transitioning into compliance. Understanding legal expectations under IDEA and Policy 2419. House Bill 2499 emphasizes training administrators and school leaders so teachers receive proper support and can implement special education services appropriately. So West Virginia Code 18A-3-13 and West Virginia Code 18-20-1C, teachers' due process rights. We'll talk a little bit about that. Training courses for principals in public schools informing teachers of due process in the IEP format. Each principal and county board member shall be trained and inform teachers. We're doing that right now. The documentation process within a 45-day grading period for teachers. The rights of teachers when it comes to informing parents and local advocates who can come to the individual educated meeting. What rights do they have? Protection methods in place for teachers who advocate for student placement. We do have a law. I think it's the second one, 18-20-1C. I'll have to double check that. But here's what happens, is that our general education teacher cannot be required to keep accommodation logs. At the end of 45 days or a grading period, the special education teacher keeps those accommodation logs and modification logs, and the general education teacher has to sign off on those and say, yes, those did occur in my classroom. So the only person that keeps a daily log is the special education teacher. But here's the caveat. At any point in time, because parents have due process rights, they can ask the principal in that special education for a daily log of accommodations being given to their students. And those have to be produced. They're produced by the school administration and they're produced by the special education teacher. And technically for the previous 9 weeks, the general education teacher should have signed off and said that those were in fact those accommodations given. So integrated classroom serving students with exceptional students, and I think this is exactly what I just said, but this is the actual verbiage from code. So integrated classroom serving students with exceptional needs and requirements as to assist, train, and inform to be provided to integrated classroom teachers. Make appropriate accommodations and modifications for students if needed or identified to help students succeed in the class or the program. And document at minimum the provision of these accommodations and modifications, provided, here's the caveat, that the general education shall, and when it says shall in law code, that means you don't do it because it says shall not be responsible for daily accommodation logs. The general education shall only be responsible for acknowledging at the end of the grading period that each accommodation as required in the IEP has been met. All accommodations of the student shall be discussed before placement, and that's the IEP team meeting. And it is the responsibility of the special education instructor to monitor progress. Provide further that parents and guardians may request daily accommodation logs, which is essentially what I just said. That was a lot. It's a lot. But this meets the statutory requirement for your training, and I will take questions. And if I have one that I can't answer, I'm gonna bat it over to Mr. Anderson. And we will team work on this, but are there questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, it seems like it's an exceptional amount of record keeping, and it all goes into Weavis. Is that Weavis the vessel for all that information and all that?
It is,
Wow,
it is.
that's incredible.
And the timelines, they're digitally stamped that we're meeting them and doing them appropriately.
This, is this going, did the state provide funding to cover all this? You know, I mean,
This has always been a funded, part of our funding source. We have special education, but this is what I've talked to the board about we don't get enough funding for special education. Every county in the state doesn't get enough funding for special education because the needs of our exceptional students are growing at a greater rate than our funding sources.
yeah. Wow.
Do you know how many ones, twos, and threes we have?
I asked that because all of ours were marked level 1. And I said, that's not possible. So that's one of the questions I asked Mr. Anderson to inquire about with our consultant, Ms. Young. And in the 24-19, I was reading a little more closely today. I think that I would say that our level 1, our students that are in our self-contained classroom, students that need to be fed and things like that are our upper levels, and we don't have many of those. We have some level 2s, which need constant adult supervision if they have an aide. We did have one high acuity where we get some reimbursement, correct, Sarah?
Yes, ma'am.
Last year, so we're keeping track of that. We are also more diligently submitting our Medicaid billing. We had submitted one claim before, but we have worked and trained on that all year long, so we are getting a substantial amount more in Medicaid billing, which helps offset some of those costs.
Is that how all of our reimbursement for this is through Medicaid billing?
No,
So it's partial state
it's
and
partial
then the
state,
Medicaid.
partial state, partial federal, and then when
And
our
federal.
students get some services. So in the IEP, there's a page, and it's called the services page. And on that services page, you can write a variety of things. I'm going to use one that we don't use that if we did use, we would get big bucks for. So if we require, if we have a bus with a wheelchair lift and requires special transportation services, and we document that in the IEP, we can get funded for all things associated with that. If we document speech services in our IEP, and when our speech teacher gives those services and has them sign off that they got those, then we can get reimbursed for those. And that's something we're working on with our speech services. We have a lot of speech students.
Right.
If we have a student that is total care, which this means a student's in a wheelchair, they have to have a feeding tube, they have to have special equipment, and that's in the services page, we can get reimbursed for some of those services. So the way it works is what you put in the services page dictates how much Medicaid that you can get. Now, last year we agreed collectively to turn it on. We agreed to turn on what's called random moments in time. And that's the federal government's way of verifying services. So at any point in time, Mr. Anderson can get a text or an email, or Sarah can get a text or an email, and they have to document what they're working on in that time. And how they document that helps us get reimbursement. If they're documenting it and we're being negative, we don't get reimbursement. So we have started those. And I'm gonna ask Sarah and Mr. Anderson, how many people are, is it the principals and the directors are getting the random moments in time? Have we started this with teachers yet?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Teacher
Yeah.
athletes.
It is. So they're responding to those in a manner that is appropriate is important. Now, I'm not saying just our teachers don't, but statewide, there's a problem, and Sarah's shaking her head because we've had training on this multiple times. We've got to get some of our responses back to document servicing a student that needs a feeding tube. We need to say, not giving special ed. We got to really kick those up and be more efficient with those. So those are the funding sources. And we are working diligently to get as much funding as possible. We have a grant out right now that I have Julie and Mr. Anderson working on for alternative education supplements. I have Mr. Anderson work on a grant for special education for our IXL. He submitted that, and that's where we got $40,000. So there's tons of grants and things out there. We just have to be focused and to get those things.
So it sounds like accurate documentation
Is everything.
is everything.
Are we doing
Coding, it's
training?
almost like a coding thing. now.
Do we have a training in place for that?
We have already trained this past year. We have trained everybody on all of those things we mentioned. We had every special education teacher has been trained multiple times. Our principals have been trained multiple times. Directors that's associated with that. So we have done a plethora of training last year. We will continue on with those services this year. And that is what the STRIVE, the Special Needs Design and Instruction Training is about on August the 11th. We have sent that out to every staff member that if you wish to attend, you can attend. And we are hopeful that many will, but we will continue with our trainings.
And we're going to follow through and make sure
That they're implemented.
that the, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
We have a plan with that for that as well. That's great questions.
Wow.
Then how many kids do you have that require speech therapy?
I think we have about 70,
Somewhere in that,
we have a lot.
in the county, so.
Wow.
So they're not a full caseload then? The two speech,
We have two, yes,
so they can have up to 100.
that's me.
Oh. And then the special training, is that what you're talking about for all educators?
Yes.
What about the safe handling and CPI?
Well, I have spoken with Mr. Anderson about that and Ms. Hamilton about getting that in the budget. And we are in the process of getting that scheduled and training additional people. So yes, ma'am, that is in the works.
Okay. So,
Mr. Anderson, would you like to give an update on that?
On the,
CPI,
yeah,
since we talked about it?
just know that, we're looking into it right now, see, what we need, when we're gonna have those trainings, so.
Additionally, we have you asked me to check on the lighthouse, the behavioral.
Like that's
We
there.
have already started working on that.
Okay.
That is in the process.
Okay.
The
Had a
only-
meeting today,
Huh?
had a meeting today with them.
So you want to give a report out on it, Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, I just had a consulting meeting with a lighthouse consultant there, and they sent us some information on what they could provide and how they do it. And today was our first meeting with that, so sounds like it was very, like, they have like a lot of services that they can help us with. They've been in, for 9 years or so, and it's really, it seems like a really good organization if we need them. So, especially with behavior, like they'll even help us with behaviors and this and FBAs and things like that, which was really nice to be able to have that avenue.
Okay,
So
good. You want to explain to everybody what it is?
the FBA or the
Lighthouse therapy, what they do and
Okay.
why we're looking at that.
So they, the Lighthouse Therapy, they have they're an organization that will provide even occupational therapy, speech, physical therapy. They'll provide behavior therapy, which is, they say is really on the rise whenever I talk to them today. And they have those services. Now, they are online services that they provide. And they do a caseload, that they look at the IEP, they consult with the teacher, they consult with the administrator. They're basically a part of that team that Dr. Williams is talking about to ensure that the services for that student are being met. A lot of times, those services that we can't find somebody that will give them direct services, meaning a person that is available to do that, then we can, contract with them or get them in a position to help provide the services that's needed for the student to be successful.
Additionally, we also spoke with Ms. Sammons. Ms. Sammons, you want to give a little bit of update on the technology portion of what we talked about for that?
So Jimmy and I are working together to figure out what sort of stations that we might need at each school, because you would need some sort of a virtual station for your students. And so Dr. Williams and Mr. Anderson, Ms. Shaw, and I hope their experience in the school, aggressively, need some sort of secured area for if you have a student with some anger issues. So we're pricing out what sort of equipment we would need to do that. So we started work on that this week. So we have an estimate of what the equipment is going to cost us, because that won't be inexpensive. So that's something that you guys will need to know as far as costs for that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
All right, thank you. So then we're going to move on to the next requirements. And I did this requirement last year. I'm sure board member Grimes, board member Gibson will remember this from last year. And this is our local LSIC training. And these are hot off the press, so you met your solution. On our press. So, again, building on the concept that together everyone achieves more, one team, one purpose with every child. LSICs is actually a foundational element in community input. When I was a principal and I had an LSIC, I was actually in innovation zone and had applied for policies to abolish grade level groupings in my school and group across grade levels K2 and 3-5 based on students' reading Lexout score. And I got an innovation zone grant for that called Six, and I purchased Success for All with that. It was a special program that focused on the Lexouts, that focused on attendance, that focused on teams in the school. So I know that LSICs are a powerful force in strategic planning and improving student outcomes, including attendance, which is our #1 student outcome deficiency right now. So this is an indicator for county boards of education members. It's defined in West Virginia policy 2322. And local LSIC councils are also defined in code 18-5A-3A. And this training will meet the statutory requirements and governance of those elements that we have to do each year. So let's start off with the makeup of an LSIC council. Who's on there and how are those folks selected? So this section mandates that an LSIC must be established at every public school. It defines mandatory council membership and dictates how those members are elected or appointed. The principal serves as the ex officio voting member, kind of like I do here on the Board of Education. They're an advisor to the LSIC, at the same time an advisor and the operations manager for the board. 3 teachers are elected by the school's faculty senate. That can either be done at the end of the year or at the beginning of the next year. 2 service persons elected by the school service personnel. 1 may be a bus driver. That's a change in code. It used to say shall be a bus driver. But across the state of West Virginia, we had a difficult time with bus drivers wanting to come to LSIC after they finish their bus route.
Yeah.
So now it says may.
Yeah.
3 parents or guardians elected by the parents or the parent-teacher organization. Parent members cannot be employees at that specific school under any circumstances. So if they're employed in any way, shape, or form, they cannot be on the LSIC. So what I did, and we don't do it here, but however they want to do it, is I would go to my parent-teacher organization and say, I need nominations for 3 parents that wish to serve on the local LSIC, because your parent-teacher organization and your LSIC are not the same thing. One is a strategic plan accountability organization, and one does fundraisers, raises money, plans classroom party, blah, blah, blah. So they would get me 3 names, I would get the ballot together, I would send it out to the community at large, and they would vote and select the 3 members, and then I would announce it.
Right.
At-large members are appointed by the principal to represent local businesses and community interests. So they should be someone who is substantial in industry in the community. So LSIC membership, and I just pulled this straight from code, in the case of vocational technical schools, comprehensive middle schools, and comprehensive high schools, the vocational director or principal, as applicable, shall, meaning they must, appoint up to 4 additional members from any one or more of the following categories: employers, employer-sponsored training programs, apprenticeship programs, and post-secondary education. And in the case of a school with students, grade 7 or higher, the student body president or other student in grade 7 or higher elected by the student body in those grades serves on the LSIC. So local school improvement council elections and terms. The principal shall arrange for the election of the local school improvement council members before September 15th of each year, and our principals will be trained on June the 30th. Is that our training day? June the 30th on LSIC. July 30th, and that's what I trained them last year as well. Notice of the election must be provided at least 1 week prior to the election date. We're talking about officers right now. To the extent practical, all council member elections shall be conducted within the same week. So you can't say, I'm voting for these this day, this week, and next month we'll vote for these. It's in a time period there. There's restraints of that. Elected parents, guardians, custodians, teachers, and service personnel serve 2-year terms. Elections must be staggered so that in any given year, no more than 2 teachers, 2 parents or guardians, and 1 service personnel are elected. All other non-officio members serve 1-year terms. So that's kind of how the election looks like. Local LSIC membership. So we're talking about exchanging members. How's that happen? What's that look like? Council members may only be replaced upon death, resignation, or failure to appear in 3 consecutive meetings of the council for which notice was given, or a change in personal circumstances, you moved away, so that the person is no longer a representative of the class or the members from which they are appointed. For example, I talked to Principal Scotchy, and 2 of her LSIC members are no longer will have children at her school. So they can't be on her LSIC council. They would have to serve on the high school council if they wanted to be on the council. In the case of a vacancy in the elected position, the chair of the council shall appoint another qualified person to serve the unexpired term of the person being replaced, or in the case of an appointed member of the council, the principal shall appoint and replace as soon as possible. Getting organized. So we have to have this meeting by September 15th. That has to be posted on the school websites. Now, what happens after that initial meeting? Principal responsibilities, no later than October 1. That's the deadline. Following the September 15th election of the LSIC, the principal shall organize the LSIC Improvement Council by convening the organizational meeting, schedule and conduct the first organizational meeting. And they have to provide written notice to the members at least 5 days in advance. And they recommend a variety of ways doing that: calling, posting it on digital meeting, putting it in the newspaper, letting people know you're having this organizational meeting.
Yeah.
Typical organizational meetings, and I'll pull this from code, should include a review of the membership responsibilities, what each person is responsible for doing, election of officers, establish their meeting dates for the entire year, review the school's data and improvement priorities, that includes all of those outcomes that we want from our students, and begin planning goals and recommendations for the school year. So that means looking at their strategic plan. What do we need help with and how can we support that? So annual election and activities. Council shall elect from the membership a chair and 2 members to assist the chair in setting the agenda for each council meeting. The chair shall serve a 1-year term. And how this works in most organizations is you get in at a lower level on a committee. That my LSIC had committees. And then you work up from a committee to an officer's position, and then up to a vice president's position. And then you just have that group of people that's training that moves up. That's a good way to build capacity. You don't have to do it that way. That's just one of the structures that I have seen in place. If the chair's position becomes vacant for any reason, the principal shall call a meeting of the council to elect another qualified person to serve the unexpired term. Once elected, the chair is responsible for notifying each member of the meeting in writing within 5 days. Meetings, they must meet at least once every 9 weeks, 5 days advance notice in writing. The School Improvement Council shall ensure that minutes are taken at every meeting and made available to the public on the school's website upon request. So every school, they're subject to the Open Meetings Act, post their agenda, covers what's on their agenda, has their meeting, post minutes on their website. That is something that's done at the school level that they're responsible for. So the School Improvement Council annually conducts at least 1 meeting to engage parents, and this is the stakeholders meeting, to engage parents, students, employees, business partners, trade partners, I don't know why I highlighted that, and other interested parties in a positive and interactive dialogue regarding the school's academic performance and standing as determined by measures adopted by the State Board of Education. And next meeting, because this is a long meeting, I want to show you where that accountability measures are and what they look like so you can make those connections. So meeting dialogue shall include opportunity for address issues which are seen to affect the school's academic performance, which may include, but are not limited to, parent and community involvement, the learning environment, student engagement, attendance, support for at-risk students, curricular offerings, resource, and the capacity for school improvement. The council shall announce any such meeting 10 employment days. Weekends do not count in advance. The School Improvement Council shall ensure that a report of concerns, suggestions, and points raised is produced and made available to the school's website and forwarded to both the County Board of Education and the Office of Accountability within the Department of Education or successor's office. The Board of Education shall also post the report on its website. And while we did have a website for LSICs, we did not have a report posted. We just got one report this year. And at the end of this meeting, I'm going to ask Ms. Hammonds to talk about our website and how to navigate there and what we have. We have a website on our county website that is completely dedicated to LSICs and links to all the school websites. So I want to make sure everybody knows where that is and what that looks like. Schools deemed below performance under the accountability system, and that's what we'll talk about the next board meeting, what the accountability system is, have to meet. So they shall meet at least annually with the county board. So if you're a comprehensive support and improvement school, you will meet with the board annually to talk about your school improvement efforts. We had one for 3 years, Green Bank Elementary Middle School. Green Bank Elementary Middle School is no longer a CSI school. They've been released, so they don't have to meet with us. We can meet with them, and we did this year. It wasn't a requirement. We do have one school that's a targeted support school, and that's Marlton Middle School. That school had really high performance of one subgroup compared to their exceptional subgroup. And because they didn't grow at the same rate, not that they're not doing great things for our exceptional students, but they didn't have the same rate of growth. They were identified in that little population, and they've been working on that in one of the state trainings. The principal of the local school improvement council chair or another member designated by the chair shall address the dialogue at its meeting or meetings to give parents, students, school employees and business partners and other interested partners an opportunity to make suggestions and how to address the issues which are seen to affect the school's academic performance. Everything revolves around this whole academic performance and how we're performing and improving performance and improving student outcomes. Anything presented under this subsection shall be submitted to the county board in writing, and we did receive that at our end of the year presentations. Each school gave the county board, I think they each gave you a PowerPoint presentation when they were right. Okay. So another part of this policy that is important, and this is the part I like to focus on, and this is the part where I want us to focus. We want to focus on innovative schools and schools of excellence.
Yeah.
And I've talked repeatedly about Marlton Elementary being a school of excellence. Hillsborough could easily be a school of excellence. We have schools that deserve these accolades. So, West Virginia Code 18-5A-3 encourages the local school improvement council to develop innovative school initiatives to improve student achievement, increase efficiency, strengthen community partnerships, and enhance educational performance. Approved schools may be designated as innovation schools. I think it's important to look at that application to see what those things are and to strive for the top. Where do we want to be? We want to be number one. How do we get there? This is what it looks like. Let's get these things in place. Innovative school proposals must include measurable objectives, performance indicators, the financial impact, and any required waivers or policies, rules, interpretations of the statutes. Approved innovations are subject to ongoing evaluation and continuation of the alternative program depends on the demonstration of results. For example, I applied to be an innovation zone based on abolishing grade levels to improve student performance. And I do have a short chart that I can show you for my special education performance when I started grouping students appropriately, changed between 15 and 30% in 2 years. It was an astronomical change. We can look at that and talk about how those innovations, but it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. That application was 50 pages. But I think I got $75,000 total to do that restructuring and help me with that purchase the program. Approved innovations are subject to ongoing evaluation. We talked about that. Criteria for a school of excellence. I think every school in this county should be a school of excellence. Every principal should strive to be at the very top of that continuum. Innovative programs and practices, strong parent and community involvement, improved attendance and student outcomes, and just overall educational excellence. So moving on to the accountability policies, the foundations for high quality schools is outlined in policy 2322 and establishes West Virginia's system of support and accountability. And it provides a framework for these things. All of these things fall under that policy. Accountability, which we'll talk about, continuous improvement, strategic planning, family and community engagement, and the local school improvement councils. The key concepts that we look at as a school system is accountability, how many students met the benchmark in performance, continuous growth, how many students are growing towards the benchmark, at what rate? Is their growth enough growth to catch up? Are they making enough growth to stay caught up? Or are they falling behind?
Yeah.
Collaboration and then student success indicators. Student success indicators are attendance, discipline, and graduation rate. And post-graduation achievement. Those are all part of those student success indicators, and I'll break those out a little bit at different meeting. So policy 2322 LSSE powers and responsibilities. The key question is to answer, how can we make our school better for every student? How can we engage the over 50% of kids absent at the high school in coming to school every day and improving our chronically absentee rate? Furthermore, how can we improve the chronic absentee rate countywide? Because we have kids countywide not coming to school. So the LSSC serves as a collaborative advisory body to help the school improve teaching and learning, promote innovation, encourage parent, family members, and business, review school performance and discipline annually, make recommendations to improve student outcomes, participate in strategic planning, and of course, that annual stakeholders meeting. So, training and charter schools. So the West Virginia Board of Education shall ensure training on the role and governance of the LSICs is provided to principals. I'll provide that. County Boards of Education provide it right now. Other individuals designated by the state board, training must be provided upon employment. Every 3 years thereafter, the school board shall develop a document explaining this, and it has all of that. And I actually provided it or print it off for our board members. And we're going to actually go to the website. If you just want to take one and pass it down. Take one and pass it down. Take one and pass it down. These are some resources I thought would be of interest to our board members. And then I wanted to show you the resources that the West Virginia Department of Education has developed for our LSICs. But before we go to the resources, I want to know if there's any questions, comments, concerns, anything that wasn't clarified, and then I want to talk to you a little bit about the toolbox that's online.
Okay, so the minutes, so their plan and all their data they collect is supposed to be on the schools media or our,
The school's website, that stakeholder big survey goes on our website.
so the stakeholders' comments go on our website,
And
our media.
yeah, and I will show you exactly where that is.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry. First. Ladies. No? Mr. Grimes?
No, I'm good.
So, this is the website developed by the West Virginia Department of Education, and I think it's a tremendous website. So, if we get down through here, we have sections of the page. It's all laid out, but I want to go back up, Ms. Hammonds. Right here, and this isn't touchscreen, is it? This here is what's called the Principal's Toolkit, because the LSIC is a function of the school, and the oversight of the LSIC is a function of the principal. Our role is to hear what they have to say and to react on how we can provide them in an open board meeting. But the principal's role is to navigate those meetings and to make sure that we're focused on the appropriate things. So here's the tips for best practices, and I pulled some of these off. Here's the meeting participation guidelines. Here's the meeting plans, what they're supposed to look like, the problem-solving process, parent and community leaders' roles in the LSIC, and then guidance for bylaws. And this is something that if we have it, Shocker, Mr. Anderson, I don't know about. I don't know if we have LSIC bylaws developed for all of our LSICs in which they operate.
Green Bank did. I knew she was supposed to take that up. Because I helped develop those for Green Bank. I don't think Martin Elementary
does. So that's something that we're going to focus on for the upcoming year. So we have a little bit of work we can do at the school level to make sure. Do you want to talk about your bylaws and how those were established and anything? Oh, a lot of the bylaws are established based on what the policy says, but also some of the little, like, meeting norms are established collaboratively amongst the group. And then they review them like Green Bay, we reviewed them each year to see if those were the same bylaws that we wanted to adopt, if we needed to make any changes. We did so at the first meeting, but collaboratively, it was created as a group. And I just want to stop right there. So meeting guidelines right here, the norms that Ms. Schaffner is talking about, meetings should be conducted by Robert's Rules of Order, just like a board meeting, because they're subject to the Open Meetings Act. Seating patterns and meeting placement. Okay, so we have a seating pattern of our board members. You should have something similar as we have here, because it is a meeting, it is an actual council. Agendas, it talks about all these, the recording of minutes, reports, committees. I love the good committee. When I was a principal, I found a committee for everything, put somebody on it. And if they asked if they were on it, I said, yes, you're on that committee. So nobody ever asked me if they were on the committee, because I always put them on it. So then here is operational guidelines to guide principals in any question that they have. Every single thing, the operation procedures, the agenda templates, the minute templates, the election guidelines, the nomination form, the parent ballot form, the calendar, all that is housed in this wonderful website created by the West Virginia Department of Education. And it goes through that. And then down here is the policy that I just talked to you about. That policy is pretty lengthy. I just pulled out the important points. You can go back and look at all of it. The LSIC booklet I provided, and then just the overall other offices that support that. So, and then I'm trying to both of these off at the bottom of the page, because I think an FAQ, I love that FAQ, was important. So I think that we have a lot of potential. I think we have active community, active LSICs, and the sky's the limit. We're going to do great things. Hopefully we're going to get an innovation zone or a school of excellence or 5 schools of excellence at some point. So lots of exciting things. We do have some work to do at the front school level, but I think what's on the team that can help guide that. Any questions about LSICs or this training or anything I didn't cover or any conflict?
Not for me, but this is, the LSIC is this your responsibility and your, Ms. Schaffner? Part of your,
The LSIC, no, it's the LSIC training is not responsible.
it's the principals.
But it's the principal.
The principals of each school. Okay.
So before we leave, this presentation, I'm going to ask Mrs. Hims to talk us through LSICs and all the things it's posted that we've developed here in Pocahontas County. Mrs. Hims, would you like to take over?
So on the front page of the Pocahontas County School website, there's a quick link right here that just says LSIC. You'll find it referenced on a lot of different pages that pull you back to the same page. But at the county level, we have an LSIC page that's sort of the district overview. We have our own FAQs. These meeting minutes will pull you to each site to see each of the school's meeting minutes, should you want to read through those. And now we've added a column for the LSIC stakeholder reports. So now those are going to be posted there on that website as well. When they post the new calendar, I always try and pull that from the deputy website. It's really good guidance about what has to happen when. The new one hasn't went up yet, but as soon as that goes up, I'll pull that image over to our website so that parents have quick guidance of what's going to happen for their LSICs.
Did you, Ms. Schaffner, did you post a calendar of your meetings? Did you have this laid out long term or?
No, we have our parents, members are very active in their kids' sports life. And so what I would do,
this is just at Marlin Elementary. At the end of the meeting, instead of scheduling a date 9 weeks away, we would do a calendar survey to see what meeting time worked best for them. Because they were juggling sports schedules, soccer, baseball, basketball. And so we tried to develop a meeting time that worked for everybody to get the most members at the meeting.
So did you ever, I'm just asking because, when I was principal, we did occasionally have a meeting in the daytime. Did you ever have a daytime?
We did not,
We didn't. have-
because again, some of our members are staff members at other schools in Sanford County.
That's great.
Yeah, and your community stakeholders are at work
Yes,
doing their community thing.
yes.
Yeah.
So, any more questions? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do want to say that I have asked the West Virginia Department of Education to provide us some assistance and guidance and direction. So I'm looking forward to working with them as we move forward. And I think that's all I had on here for school improvement updates.
That was a lot.
Thank you
You
very
did good.
much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, consent agenda items, approval of the agenda. Make a motion, someone? Approve the agenda? Second,
Second.
all in favor? Okay. Then the next thing will be approval of the agenda minutes from May the 26th, June the 2nd, two LSIC meetings from June the 15th and June the 16th, 2026, June 25th, 2026, and July 6th, 2026.
So moved.
Okay. I think Mr. Grimes is going to sign off on the ones prior to July, and I'll sign on the ones that on July 6th.
I do have some commentary on that. We actually have policy on minutes, and I mean, we are basically not adhering to that at all. I mean, we're actually driving over it and stomping it in the mud right now, is what we're doing with our policy on this. And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but it says in here, it says, the minutes of board meetings shall be considered at next succeeding meetings where they shall be corrected if necessary and approved. If material changes are required to be made to the draft minutes reviewed by the board, then in the absence of compelling circumstances, the minutes shall be available for inspection no later than 3 business days following the meeting. Okay, so we don't need to go much further there. I'd like to see us hear this policy a little better. And I know we're busy and all, I know you're busy. I'm not. Please.
We are all caught up and we will remain caught up.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Payment of bills. Payment of vendor listing, payment of P cards, clean up employee payroll.
I have a question on that.
Yeah,
What is that? C and E. What does cleanup pay mean?
clean up employee payroll.
That is may I speak?
Yes.
Thank you. That is the last of June. If you have any timesheets that come through for the June 30th, that's where we hit the cleanup payroll. It's the last that we can pull through.
And is that typical? $40,000?
Yeah, we do that on every year. You have a final. So you can throw for year end.
So these staff, just understand this, these staff have these receipts or these due values that they submit to you for reimbursement, I guess.
It's the last thing that we can put through. There's not many, or you know, as you can see, your cleanup, is only 6,700.
Okay, all right.
It's just it's a finish.
Well, the prior one's 40,000.
Correct, but that would be, that's your regular June. And every month you will have a cleanup. Every month you're gonna have an extra duty. And this will be those that are coming in. A lot of times like a bus driver will have some trips and they haven't turned something in, an aid. Some of the teachers have went to trainings and they're just finishing that up, just getting them turned in.
For example, we have learning by the bell teachers that have to turn in their timesheets. And our mentors, we had some people turn in their mentorship for the entire year. And they had to get paid for mentoring other teachers. Those would be two good examples. Would that be appropriate?
But every year, we have a June 30th cleanup payroll. You can go back in the minutes from 2014 and on. We've always done that. We don't want to miss paying them on a year end.
Thank you.
My only other question is, how long have these staff had these things they've been cleaning up, needed to be cleaned up? Do they not submit these in real time? Are these just reimbursed? Are these just expenses occurred in the last month? What?
Sometimes, and Ms. Hamilton can answer this as well, sometimes staff members don't turn things in on time.
Huh.
And just because they are not on time doesn't mean we don't pay them. We just have to pay them when we get their stuff. We do have deadlines and guidelines, but it is an issue where sometimes they don't turn things in on time.
Yeah.
Mrs. Hamilton, would you like to elaborate or say anything else about that topic?
Let's see what you're missing here. You have a few bus trips, and that's what's mainly on. There's a few bus trips. We had one aide was riding the bus with a student, and she's finishing up, just turning them in.
Right.
You had a free calculus training that hits on this one.
Yeah.
And some teacher ratio where a teacher has a class that has a couple more students, and 25 is allowed in the class, and she had 27, and she was paid. And you're looking at that didn't get turned in until a little later. Now, that being said, we don't want to miss paying them what they're due. Of course.
All right.
Any further discussion?
Oh, good.
Make a motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Budget transfers and supplements, we don't have any of that stuff, right? But,
Not on this one, no.
Okay.
You do have your grant awards.
okay. Personnel matters, that's, an attached file. In the interest of transparency and making sure people who are listening have a very good idea of what's going on, I will ask you to read them, and we can do that.
Amended personnel agenda for July the 21st, 2026. Professional recommendations is David Gibb, teacher behavioral support at Hillsborough Elementary School for the 26-27 school year. Crystal Lewis is a requested transfer from special education multi-categorical at Marlinton Middle School to teacher of second grade at Hillsborough Elementary School. Rescind the recommendation of Ronald D. Michael Jr. and recommend the appointment of Dreama Sharp. That's for the CTE position, criminal justice at the high school. Michael McWilliams, resignation of the assistant principal athletic director for countywide secondary schools. Glenn Jackson, resignation of teacher of multi-subjects, Marlinton Middle School. And then Cindy Solek as the head principal of Marlinton Elementary School. Those are all of the professional recommendations. Service recommendations. We have Jessica Eisner as the secretary accountant for Pocahontas County High School for the 26-27 school year. And we have Loretta Urban resignation as custodian 3 at Marlinton Middle School, effective July the 20th, 2026. Extracurricular recommendations is Billy Heyman as an aide for the summer program at Marlinton Elementary School, effective July the 22nd, 2026. Shannon Arbogast is a $1 assistant basketball coach at Pocahontas County High School. That's for the girls team. Bridget Kober as $1 assistant football coach at Pocahontas County High School for the 26-27 school season. Heather Kerr as the head cheer coach for Pocahontas County High School for the 26-27 school year.
Make a motion to approve.
I'd like to pull out Bridget Cover and vote on her separate.
All right. Make a motion to approve all but Bridget Cope. Second,
Second.
right? All in favor?
Uh,
Great. Bridget Cope. Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor, say aye.
No, nah.
All right. So the ayes have it with Mr. Grimes as an exception.
can we talk about this for a minute?
Sure.
Well, congratulations to Ms. Solak as our new elementary school, Monson Elementary School principal. And what are we gonna do with the assistant? What's the status of the assistant principal / athletic director project?
He resigned.
Who's that? So you don't have anybody?
We need to repost it and get another applicant.
Or we could scrap it and go back to, or we could scrap it and just hire an athletic director or an assistant principal.
I would agree with that.
You would
That's
agree
what
with
it
me?
is.
Huh?
That's what it is.
You know, a dedicated vice principal, separate, that stays at the high school and helps the principal.
I think it would work if, how many times have we posted so far?
We posted it once.
Just
We
one
hired
time.
somebody. He resigned.
The problem with just having an athletic director at the high school, the 7th and 8th grades get left out. At Morganton Middle and at Green Bank. And I'm not talking about football because they come in. Last year, we know, because we heard from the football coach at Hillsborough, and you ladies was there, they got no money. The 7th, 8th grade did. I'm looking for somebody who will also support them feeder programs going into the high school.
Okay, let's do that.
So you're gonna have, you gotta have somebody that's not just dedicated to a high school program, but somebody is dedicated to a county
I
program.
don't see why we couldn't do that.
Well, that's what we was trying to do here.
Right, but I don't think that we need to make it a requirement for an administrator. I don't think that we need to, I think that we've had 2 athletic directors who've done an incredible job from all accounts that I've heard. I don't see why we can't continue with that, and if we need to expand that role.
Things have changed in the last 2 years at the high school, though. The athletic director also has to keep up with how many, the phys ed program.
Yes.
You've got to keep the hours for the children now that take that because it counts as phys ed. It's taken on a lot larger role than it normally was.
Mhm.
If you say athletic director.
Okay, then how about right now? So at the high school, who has that position right now? Who is in charge of athletics? At this,
Until we hire somebody, the head principal.
okay, so what if we make it a coordinator position? Underneath the
I'm not
principal.
willing to remove the administrative requirement. We can take and
No,
say,
I'm not suggesting that.
okay,
No, I'm in support of the principal, right, who
Mhm.
is acting as the AD for all intents and purposes. If we have a coordinator who is under her, right, she still will do the evaluations as she's done, or as the principal has done. And then maybe we can look at encompassing the 7th and 8th grade,
Yeah,
as well.
I don't have a problem with that. We would, to do that, it'd be a bigger job. We'd have to increase.
You gotta have administrators.
Increase the pay of, I don't think you do, because the principal.
Well, they gotta evaluate people.
The principal can do that. The
Yeah.
principal has done that in the past for the past 2 athletic directors that we've had.
I think that would be a conversation about evaluations and that process that we need to have, because it's going to involve a personnel discussion And I would suggest an executive session. Because I don't want to talk publicly about any one individual or any two individuals. But I will say the athletic director, needs to have an administrative degree.
Why?
Because they need to be able to evaluate the coaches and make administrative decisions.
But there's in policy, state policy, you know, there's room for that. Athletic directors who have have administration and athletic directors who do not. And the provision is that principals evaluate, and that's what we've done prior.
So
I'd
I
like
would
to-
recommend, I want to make a comment on this, but I want to make it an executive session.
I'd like
I
to
can't
make a
that.
motion for an executive session on personnel.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
22. All right, we came out at 8:01 PM. We went in for a personnel matter. No decision was made. We're coming out at 8:01 PM. All right. Old business. Discussion Pocahontas County Schools summer projects.
That would
Mr.
be,
Gibson, I believe that's you. It's your time.
Like flip flop a couple things. This is the spreadsheet of the electric bills for the field house. We do that first, since it happened to be on top.
Mr. President Rose, that's item B on this in the whole business.
Wow. You went
Oh,
back
okay. I'm sorry.
2022, so.
No.
He does A2, right? The summer projects.
So you can summer projects.
Yes, that did. Yes, ma'am.
Good, thanks.
Yeah. Sort of a healthy packet, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump to the second one first, in the electrical use. I talked to Hamilton. He pulled up some data off the computer, gave it to me. I did a spreadsheet, just trying to look at electrical bill usage for the past few years, whatever we had access to. And the question was March for this year, that had a power bill for field house of $4,100, $4,101.30. And looking above it, if you look at January, it's $4,800. So not honestly, do not have an answer for this. I talked to the previous athletic director, so did you ever go in when it felt like it was a sauna, like a heater was stuck on? The answer was no. There's no real explanation for it, other than maybe because of the demand meter. I went in, walked the field house, checked every heater, checked every thermostat, make sure they're all working like they're supposed to. Unplugged the refrigerator, it was running, had nothing in it, which would have used very little power for that. I just checked it out and I found no indications of anything wrong. Other than I think it's possibly demand meter rates and just building use. And I knew during those months, they were doing the weightlifting for, I think, were going up. And football conditioning, we've got teams starting to use it for spring sports. So we'll just have to monitor it and dig a little deeper, see what else we can find out. We would like to find out a little bit more about the demand meters. That might be our problem. I don't think there's anything stuff. And honestly, just don't have a good answer for it.
Do you get these bills every month?
They come in.
Just like your power bill?
That facility received the lighting upgrades a couple years ago with Mr. Hall's energy saver package, didn't it?
Should every light in the school system is supposed to change.
Yeah, I think that one too. That one did.
But I honestly can't answer your question on that. I think maybe it should have been as far as the fluorescent lighting with upgraded LEDs.
I think it did, sir. I was on that. I think it did.
I know there were places that were missed. I think the library at Hillsborough missed, so we've been changing those LEDs. We come to them. I don't think it's worth fine when we fixtures like now. There's little spots here and there. But as far as anything major, I could not figure out exactly what went on.
Mr. Gibson, would you like to elaborate a little before we drained everything and shut everything down?
I can go back to that.
Would you like to talk a little bit about that shift in usage and that may be part of it?
Yeah, I mean, we look back, previous years, this went back to 2022, what things we had. Was able to get, it's finally Sarah and I were looking for it. The bills were lower, but in that era, we were draining the lines, turning the heat down with the bare minimum, and the way we used the facility or the and after football season was over, they were draining the lines. And wasn't going to use. The last couple of years, it's been used.
I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm like, so anyway, like I said, I don't know the answer to that one. Dug into it, we'll just have to monitor it and see how many people are actually using the facility, and whether it's worthwhile keeping it open during the winter or not. If there's a small number of students and, folks using it, maybe it won't be worthwhile to maintain it in the winter time.
That's a significant difference between the 2 years.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So definitely worth following to make sure.
So do you get copied on these bills that come in every month?
We do get those,
Or can you start getting, because, that number might mean nothing to her, it's just, but it would mean a whole lot to you, they're like, oh my gosh.
yeah.
That's like.
That's a monthly close, I mean, even the one from, January, being $2,800.
Yeah, I mean, that's like,
I mean, the totals off to the side is what those 4 months were in 2025, the 4 months for $7,500 in 2025 for January, February, March, and April. Yeah. Total them up for, the same in 26 was $11,000.
Yeah, that's why I said significant difference.
This happened. Dwayne, this happened one time before. And what they was doing was adding to the extra line that went to the field house, but that was paid off years ago. But there was a line charge
Okay,
that went from went from the high school down to the field house. They charged us a line charge for that,
I'm not familiar with that.
but it's been several years ago. But that line charge was paid off. And you would see it like here in January, they would be a fee for that. But that was paid off years ago. I just wondered if they messed up and went back to applying that line fee. It's something we might check on and say, hey, look here, why is this $4,840 and there's nobody there,
January, $4,800, February, $700.
Yeah,
What
January is your least month down there. One of the least, December, January. But that might be something that I know. Well, let me tell you how long ago this has been. This was back when Roger Trussler was, and he caught it.
Like they could be something. I mean, I looked at this and I go, okay, if you got more people in the building,
See it.
water's getting used, or sewer pumps kicking on, taking it up to the sewer plant. Just gonna kick on, but it's not that much.
I would think it would be a budget till I see the rest of it, and then,
Okay, so jumping from that, so I wish I had better interest, but I don't. So jumping from that to the summer projects, I added some extra stuff in this, so maintenance general projects in the summertime. We were cleaning oil fire boilers, water heaters, HVAC units, kind of change filters in all the schools and all that kind of stuff. It's part of our summer routine maintenance. We do plan and preventative maintenance. And then any need that arises at any given time, because you don't know what's going to go wrong, when it's going to happen. Typical custodial things going on right now are stripping and waxing floors, and painting needs, basic repairs, maintaining the lawns. I mean, some of our schools have pretty extensive grounds that they maintain. And then also right now at the elementary school in Burlington, they have summer school and energy stress going on in the building, which slows the custodian down for getting schools there, or the floors stripped and waxed. And they can work certain areas. Safety project that's happening right now. CRG mapping project's progressing, and it has to be completed by September 1st, 2026. We have a grant reimbursement through the West Virginia Department of Ed. We've already filled that out and submitted it. I don't think we've got it back yet, but the paperwork was put in. Transportation, quick update on that. Summer trips to local camps are being conducted. Most of those are the New River doors, so there's a lot of miles there. I've got data reports that I have to certify on July 31st, and those are coming up, and I'm working a couple of bugs out of some of that right now. And just a quick note, our drivers drove 254,479 miles last week.
wow.
A lot of miles. A lot of miles. Wasn't that?
That's a lot.
That is a lot. Didn't try to do the math to see how many times I should have went to California back or anything like that. Okay, so miscellaneous requirements and projects going on. The MIP at the high school is moving along well. The power may be turned back on in academic building as of tomorrow, Wednesday. Then the work will start progressing intensely on the CTE part of the project. And addition on this, because of money savings, the things we did, the welding shop booth lighting is going to be replaced. And an extra outlets put in there, and also we get the lights on the stage, and then the gym area replaced. And that's just part of that job. There's a couple extra things that we just try to tap and see if we can make it happen and think we're going to get to.
And the gym floors will be refinished next week. Provided we have power in the building, everything is going good on that. Kitchen hoods been cleaned as of 2 weeks ago, prep for inspections. Our alarm inspections were completed. Fire suppression inspections will be coming up next week. Bleacher inspections are going to be scheduled soon. The fume hoods in the high school and the two math classrooms, we're in the scheduling process to get those inspected. Grim report's been received. We need to offer corrective responses for that, for the defects we did have in there. There's things they wrote up like not enough mulch at the school and the swings, and it's just odd and things, and a lot of it's already been taken care of. In the process, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background that I wasn't aware of a few years ago, and you guys probably aren't aware of yet either, so that's why I'm saying some of this. Now, the maintenance department, we've got 3 guys working all they can, and we're also scheduling vacations and time off in the middle of it. So, moving on to the summer. The summer custodial help we posted for 4 positions. We had 1 applicant, Stephanie Ames. She's working at the high school currently. She's painting hallways. We've already done a couple of classrooms. Trying to finish the English math hallway right now with maroon and gold stripes. We might try to get the main hallway from the auditorium door done if time allows. And assess the needs and we'll move her around as a need. So we probably should end up with another school, probably not Monday, working on a different project. Hillsborough School completed the install of HVAC units, purchased by the school. It's just about done. I talked to Darren today. He said everything is installed, running. It's just to clean up in the final tweaks on it. So that's been a while. We'll get that taken care of. And so far, the maintenance, for the county, we have funded all the installation needs as far as conduit, wire, breakers, refrigerants, anything like that that we need extra to go along with those units. Like I say, they're all in and working as of today. And summer projects for school. So the number 1 project is a winter tent film for all the schools. That was what everybody knew. We had a work session, Nelson. This is what we want. Got quotes on that. We're going to try to put that on the COPS grant, which is due here in the next couple of weeks. We have a phone call tomorrow with the person that wrote the grant for us last year. 3 o'clock, isn't that correct? Where Sarah and I and Phil Peters will be taking that call. I think it's a team's call we're going to do. Talk to them about some of the stuff we're going to try to put on that grant or request. Senior citizens drain system. Darren and I talked about that today for Hillsborough. That's another priority. And then I've got a quote in progress for the restroom providers. About that, come look at it, give some pricing on the building. Marlton Middle, with a fit fill number 1 again. Also the same quote for solid dividers. Guys got to come give us a quote on it. And one of the other things, we just need to paint the dish room in the kitchen. We had circled 7 different things in that work session. Then we started jumping around. So if you know the exact ones we talked about, we'll correct things we need to. Marlton Elementary School, when the tent film again was number 1. The band room remodel, which is a need, had to be approved through the West Virginia Fire Marshal Plan Review process. I had sent our fire marshal an email about it and said, hey, can you give us some tips on this? It was about 2 weeks and I revisited and said, hey, can you give me some info on it? He went, oh, that has to go to the review committee. So I drew the plans up, drew a sketch up, got it to them, and we received the official go ahead on it yesterday, on the 20th. So we will be trying to order materials and get that done pretty soon. So playground fencing is something we talked about at the elementary school. The potential donors waiting on an engineering firm to do site inspections. And I don't know if you can tell us any more about that because you're more into it than
So I talked to Lucy DeSesto on Thursday. And he does intend to move forward with the project. He had been in contact with Justin Dilly, and he wasn't looking for a surveyor, he was looking for an engineering firm. So Lucy has contacted the engineering firm, to work with Mr. Convoy. Originally, the playground was to be done in phases, so like phase 1 was removal of the board office, and then phase 2 was going to be resurfacing the courts, and then phase 3 was going to be the playground fence. So with the help of the donor, this will be the process of And she also wanted to note that in previous years, there hasn't been much support or help from the board. But if you guys are willing to support, and if there's any funds to contribute, I'm sure that will also help with Mr. Convoy's decision to move forward with it. And I think that will also get the ball rolling a little bit faster. I don't know if there's funds or not, but she wanted to relay that message to you. And, we do have the shade structure. It was delivered the last week of June.
I didn't know, yeah. I did.
Yes, and Mr. Gibson had talked to Lucy previously and said that could be a maintenance project, but it's not on the list currently. It's not a top priority of all the other needs that we have in our building.
I'd like to see it installed before school starts, that with kids would have, the shade and shelter, underneath them in the playgrounds.
So right now, the holdup is the engineering firm. And I think once Mr. Convoy has that information, then he will proceed.
Did the engineering firm submit some kind of number, their fee? Or maybe Mr. Dilly, what's the fees for?
Mr. Convoy is taking care of all of that.
No. The fees for the engineering. You say you wanted the cost sharing with the Board of Education, right?
Yes, but the engineering firm has not completed that yet. So once they are done, and Mr. Convoy has the information that he needs, then I'm sure that we will propose an MOU after that.
Well, what I was thinking is if we was going to cost sharing, maybe we could cover the cost of the engineering or that data collection. That's just an idea. I'm not speaking for the board. I'm just thinking about it.
When we met with him, he sort of insinuated he wanted to hire his own folks to come do that. For some reason, that's the way I look at it.
Okay.
And he wanted to get his own individual company that he worked with to come in and do that survey. He was looking at, trying to raise the elevation of the tennis courts where they won't hold water, things like that.
Yeah.
And he wanted,
He's very particular and wants it done in a certain way. And, because he was, I think, a contractor in St. Louis or
Florida.
Florida area. So he's very particular on that. And at the next board meeting, if you would like Lucy to come, he is willing to come and provide information because she's kind of the middleman in this. She's been the one overseeing the entire project since it started. And she's been the one that has been contacting Mr. Convoy. But it sounds like once we get that the engineering plans settled, then Mr. Convoy is ready to move forward.
Okay. So do we need a motion to put him on the agenda?
No.
Okay. Yes, please invite him to the meeting. Next meeting.
And it's Lucy to do that.
Yes, please.
It's just Lucy.
This would part.
That's Lucy.
He lives in Florida,
Oh,
as far as I know. He probably won't be just dropping by.
okay. Yeah. All right, that's good.
Okay, so moving along, Pocahontas County Hospital, with the tent film again was number one. We talked about access card readers for certain doors up there and some door alarms. We're going to try to put that in the COPS grant and then use that for retention with. We want to renovate the walkways to the CPE building. We have not started that yet. We'll try and get other projects done. And this is going to be a short summer. So we'll do all we can possibly do. In Green Bank, same thing again, the window tent and the films. For the COPS grant, we were looking at cabinets in a couple of the rooms. The restroom floors, I finally got a quote back today. I had to call them again. Okay. What's the price of this? So we're looking at about roughly $5,700 to do the elementary floors with a solid sheet. So that does not address the walls that have that tile. I'm thinking probably fill the tile and put like maybe fiberglass reinforced panel or something like that.
That's nice.
That way it's
Easier,
washable.
Yes.
They can pick a color for that. It's the same stuff basically as in meat facility.
Well,
That's sort of my thoughts on it, and I'm open to entertaining ideas on that too. So the COPS grant is the next thing I've got on here. Items to be requested. We have the phone call already mentioned tomorrow. When the tent fills are about $151,697 for quotes that I've got on there. So let's say 152 roughly. And the breakdown for school was the next line on that. School being the highest. And they vary, as far as pricing, and they also vary what they can put on. They can do the protective film if the window depth is enough for them to be able to caulk that film to the window. If the window depth is not correct, all they can do is do a test. So the guy, when we walk to school, he's looking at that, seeing which one they can put. So we'll put the best product available in each situation we can use it. So anyway, door access controls at the high school were around $6,000. Door alarm at PCHS, doors that are left open very often. We talked about putting an alarm on those. That's about $6,000. Intercom system to the high school, which would be, let's say somebody needs to come from the CTE building up to the office, where the secretary can allow them, if she can open the door for them, let them through, let them come up that way, teacher, nobody has to ask for them. She can see who's coming in and out of the building. And that's around 7,800, and that would be between the CTE building out by the, like going out the cafeteria down to the Cruise decade. That will working up to the office. $7,800, cloud access for cameras. Something, I don't know, Christie, I don't know if you know a whole lot about, you probably know about cloud access, and I mean, to give us a couple of quotes for that. I think you all got coffee on it. On the email, so it looks like it's about $6,600 to do that, and then an annual cost of about $3,600 a year. So if we can put that in the grant and maybe bump it out for 5 years, that'll cover us for a lot. And then the video intercom system here for the board office is almost $5,100. And then something else we're also going to change the list of wall, which is something coming down the pipe right now with chiefs. Well, all school staff, and we're panic buttons. And we're the boss. And we've got a couple of quotes from Raptor. I've got one from Northern Breeze, a couple different companies. We just need to maybe pick one and see if we can use them in the training as well. And then something else I didn't put on this was START training, which is a threat response for school bus drivers. I'd like to try to see if that can go on the screen as well. It's like $10,000 to $12,000 for that training. So we're going to try to load up the cops rank and stuff that's for the wall. And then the last thing I've got is we did get the MIP for the Martin School work, which y'all already knew that. And then we were excited to see that one come through. That's been a couple of years in the making too.
When will you start taking bids for the roofing?
That'll be, well, we have the architect hired.
Okay.
So that's, I'm gonna say it's in their report right now, so they'll post all that. You go through the process of.
Will that be on our website here?
Um,
Because
It will be, I have not reached out to our architect yet.
Okay,
When I reach out to him and we start getting stuff together, there'll be, at each board meeting, I'll update you of what's been posted and where's it's posted. It'll be in the newspaper and on our website.
okay, thank you.
you know, the whole process to that.
Oh, yes,
Takes a while. We'll say that.
absolutely.
Thanks,
That's
Mr.
great.
Gibson. Any questions for Mr. Gibson? I've been busy.
We'll do all we can with what we got.
I have one thing, Marlton Elementary School, the Wellness Center. The Wellness Center needs a bathroom. There's a bathroom out of commission there. And per the MOU with the Wellness Center, the BOE is supposed to cost share on repairs in that thing. Can you give us some kind of update on that? There's a shower in there. Anybody don't know, there's a shower in there, it's ruined. You can't use the bathroom now. And so what's the status on that?
Sarah, I know we've talked about it before. One, I don't feel like our elementary school students destroyed that shower. So I'm not sure if that's really wholly our responsibility or not. I did try to get some quotes on it one time. I probably need to go back and revisit it. See if we can, because one shower was real expensive that they were looking at for down there. It is a handicap accessible shower. I think there was a fold down seat. I don't know if they even kept that, if it's still there.
Yeah.
So we would probably need to revisit that and see it again.
We've reached out and we're entertaining meeting and discussing.
Okay.
We are.
I mean, there's dialogue there that governs that with the,
There is, but there is also on them paying us too. There's dialogue.
Okay.
And I sent them an email.
Well,
Who
yeah.
really is responsible?
it impacts our students because they can't use that restroom facility and our students use that gym. So that's why it's relevant. We have to get it fixed.
Does insurance cover any of that? If it was destroyed, do you?
All of that probably not, I wouldn't think it would.
Uh,
Basically, it was, put in, there was, I think there was any support in there, Mr. Gibson took it out.
Yeah,
With the intent, we were probably be getting help and put it back in.
right.
It's been out for a while now, longer than it should have been.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you.
Well,
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
All right. Discussion and review of county comparison chart for fees associated with non-public school students and Hope Scholarship recipients.
The next two items, Madam President, will go together. If we could do them both at the same time.
Sure.
I'm gonna ask Ms. Dunlap to come up and do those for us, please. And the chart will be posted over here.
So I've spent some time, this has not been a simple task. It requires a lot of footwork. And everybody right now across the state's in the process of updating their policies. But these are just some counties that are up here that I've shared and fonts a little small, so I might be easier if I read what's on the board. In just a variety of counties that have a variety of different fees. It seems to be the pattern that most counties are choosing a 1/7, a 1/6, or 1/8 of the Hope Scholarship amount to be charged. It varies with courses and it varies with, some of them charge, there was one that's charging more for band, which kind of caught my attention because it is a co-curricular class. And there are also additional fees for the band and for instruments and music and that type of stuff. So each county has addressed the situation and all falls in line with, our state code, 31/8, which it says now, the board in consultation with the Department of Education may adopt rules and policies for Hope Scholarship students who want to continue to receive services provided by the public school or district, including individual classes and extracurricular programs in combination with an individualized instruction program. The board in consultation with the Department of Education shall ensure that any public school or school district providing such services receive appropriate pro rata share of the student's Hope Scholarship Fund based on the percentages of total instruction provided to the student by the public school or school district. County boards and charter schools, governing boards shall charge tuition to Hope Scholarship students who enroll for service within a public school within the county or in a public charter school. And if it goes on to say. So we are tasked now with figuring this out and what's the most economical way. Some counties make their policies broad. I think we are in line with, at the bottom, we've got ours back out on comment to make the adjustment. The committee presented, I think we all were there, presented that they felt that it was important that we charge something because we are increasing our numbers and our teachers it is using our facilities, it's using the restrooms, like water, all these things that we need to keep our buildings running. These students need help. When they come in, we welcome them, we want them to come in, but we also want to make sure that we can maintain our business for everybody to have a safe, clean environment when they come in. So, we had recommended the 1/7, that's what our policy stands at right now. I think I would like to, when it's out on comment, suggest instead of saying that's 1/2 of 1/7, just to simply say 1/14. I think it reads a little more smoothly, updates like that. Some things that, in reading some of the other policies, that I think that we should probably include in ours is that, one thing, it's understood, we understand that everybody before they come into our school and participate should share their immunization records to make sure that they're up to date. We don't say that specifically here, and I think maybe we should at this point say that in our homeschool policy. The other things that, we should say is, for example, if they're coming in for first period, and they want to eat breakfast, they need to understand that they're not getting the free breakfast like our students get. They would be required to pay the fee for breakfast or lunch, whichever class if they wanted to participate. It's not that we don't want them to participate. We just are not getting reimbursed for that, because we don't put them in the system. And, then for transportation services, one county had, if they're not provided for their scholarship students competing, not completing a course. So the parents are going to be responsible for that. So then we need to be specific about that, in that we don't want them dropped off first period if the class is fifth period, because we don't have time to watch that student. We don't have a schedule for them to be. So one suggestion would be that maybe students should arrive no more than 15 minutes before the scheduled start of their class, practice or activity, and should be picked up within 15 minutes after it concludes, unless otherwise approved by the principal or designee. And students who are repeatedly dropped off early or picked up late may have their participation privileges reviewed by the school. So those are just some things that I found that I think we want our policy to be welcoming. We want to make sure it's clear, because inevitably there's going to be something that we didn't see when we first did it. We read that in depth. So I've read a lot of policy, and I think that we are in tune with everybody. I just want to make sure that we're clear.
Yeah, everything I've looked at, like, we're kind of almost right in the middle there.
Yeah, and that's where I would like to be. I don't want to be on the extreme.
Never good, never good. Okay, thank you. That's a lot.
I got
Do you want
stuck.
to talk about the next one too, after Mr. Gibson has his comments? The two policies we're putting out for first reading.
I have a problem with the money. It's the whole thing about two things. I have a problem with what we've experienced so far with this. One of them was our people come in here and got berated by the board for coming and speaking their mind. And number two, we're actually charging a tuition that seems like we're making a profit on this. And we're competing with, I feel that we are competing with the Hope Scholarship and trying to punish the parents for receiving funds that they rightly are received by our government.
Mr. Gibson, when they receive a scholarship, we do not get to count them in our student count for our prorated minimum income that we get from the operator of school business.
I get that.
And so this is just to help us maintain, because we're not getting there yearly.
Are we going to include any kind of proration? Like, so I know we talked about last time that we probably need to switch it to 1/8, correct? Because we're doing the block scheduling. But are we going to look at any kind of proration for curriculum?
It's the majority of our classes, like our elementary middle schools, operate on a 7-period day.
Mhm.
So on the average, I think it would be more fair, because all students K-12 are eligible to apply for the Hope Scholarship.
Mhm.
And obviously any students eligible to apply for Hope School. So on an average, I think the 1/7 is more fair to do that. And we're not trying to compete. We are just trying to maintain. When we don't have that student in our count, it does affect the income that we receive in the county.
Mhm.
Well-
We have to submit that report in October. It's a huge report. We've got to have all of our data accurate, and we've got to make sure we have all of our information for our students correct, and we don't get the count. And that makes a big difference on how we operate.
Well, that makes sense on the 1/7.
Yeah.
For all
At least the whole
schools.
picture, yeah.
However, so we've seen, prior, when someone comes in and there's a certain number of time, certain number of days left in the school year, are we gonna have something in there for proration? We haven't
I
had
did
that.
not see
in-
that on any other,
Mhm. I would like to see something.
and I think that would be,
I think that's fair.
that would be differentiate.
What do you mean?
And because if, for example, if they're coming in for a high school class, then they need to be there for that full class to receive credit. And that, I mean, it's really important that they are there to receive that credit. We can't, if they came in over halfway through the class, then there's no way for them to make that work up that they missed for that credit. I mean, like, for example, if you went in, you couldn't just start a college class halfway through and then expect to receive your 3 credit hours for that class.
Or have the tuition back.
Yeah, and I didn't see anybody that was doing that, because it's a lot to maintain. at this rate. This is a new experience for all of us, a new,
Yeah.
Sarah and I are trying to navigate these waters because we didn't have to do this a couple years ago.
Sure.
And so there are going to be some things that pop up. The state may change how we operate
Mhm.
this next session. We're not sure, but right now they are telling us we have to have something in place. So that's what we're trying to do.
As far as sports and extracurriculars though, and I can't speak for Mr. Gibson, but where I come from, my point of view is I would like to see us, I mean, I don't feel that in looking at law and policy, it says that we charge tuition for curriculum. However, sports and extracurriculars are a participation-based fee. You know, we can charge a reasonable fee. We don't have to charge the 1/7 that we do for curriculum.
But there are some counties that have some different out there. It was a wide range. And I think that depends on the county situation. I think some counties have stronger booster support and they're bigger counties. And I don't think they need that additional support as some of the smaller counties do to run programs.
Ms.
May I
Hamilton,
speak on that?
Mhm.
Wrecked on years ago. But there've been new statutes and new policy and the code has come through. And I went to the treasurer's meeting last week
Mhm.
and our director of Uriah Cummins spoke in it, in the hopes, in our state code, it is tuition and extracurricular and it's shall charge.
Well, I have the state code and I don't see that. So has there been an update to it?
I'll
Thank
be
you.
more than happy to share that. I had that highlighted because I was like, oh my gosh, and we had, thank goodness we were on board,
Because I printed it off
But there
today,
were
maybe
other-
they haven't updated it.
but there were other treasures that were not.
So it states that we shall
We shall.
charge a fee.
Extracurricular, yes.
Mrs. Dunlap, will you read that again? You have the state code there in the exact section?
You know, when you talk about our funding, we're funded for 1,400 kids. You know,
Yeah, but why is that? Why did we get funded for that 1,400?
well, we're way down,
No, we pick up less students per square mile than any other county in the state.
okay.
Now, there was, I think, 7 originally, and now there's like 13 or 14 because student population has dropped. But Senator Helmick and the guy from Pendleton County got that put through for Pocahontas County. If he hadn't, we would have been in financial problems. We really would have.
Okay,
And he
that's
knew
fine.
that. But that's the reason. We gotta hire more service personnel. That's the reason we're always over because we gotta have more bus drivers. You know, that's the reason. Everybody always says you get funded for 1,400, but they don't say why you do. Now, if this Hope Scholarship, and if I read the thing correctly coming out of the state legislature, they get $5,495 per student for the Hope Scholarship. Each buddy does. Same thing we get for every student in the county. That's what we get. The
Okay.
parent gets that if they apply for the Hope Scholarship. Why is it unfair if they want to take a class in Pocahontas County, come back, whatever class is, to pay $750? You collected almost 6,000.
Individual classes and extracurricular.
Why is that not fair? Do you think parents ought to be allowed to go out and say, I want the Hope Scholarship, $5,495, but then I'm gonna put my kid back in public school?
I think it's our job. I think here's what we got sidetracked on money on this issue. Let's get back to education on this issue.
It is.
Our mantra is, we are an equity-based structured business. We teach any kid that comes through that door.
And we should.
Yeah, we should.
We should, but it's not fair to this school system or or us as a board for people to get $5,500 and put their kid back in public school. It's not fair. It's not a fair. How long would we last if we had 100 kids out there like that?
Yeah.
How long would we last as a board?
I want to go on the record saying I'm opposed to any kind of fee for any kid coming back to school.
Well, if the law says shall, you,
Yeah.
it don't matter what you are.
It was discretionary on the fee, but it does say shall, we will charge.
Is that
Well-
18 to 25?
1831 18-31-8.
Right, 18-225 separates athletics and extracurriculars. I'm not gonna.
That this one just clearly, it just says that the board in consultation with the Department of Education may adopt rules and policies for scholarship students who want to continue to receive services provided by the public school or district, including individual classes and extracurricular programs in combination with individual instructional programs.
And then 18-225, which is, it's for, it's the authority of county boards to regulate athletic and other extracurricular activities. And it says that reasonable fees may be charged to the student to cover the cost of participation in interscholastic athletic events and other extracurricular activities.
Our legal team and Uriah Cummings, the Department of Finance, has said that extracurricular includes athletics. And that's what we were told in our training. That's what we have definition on. And that's what I have my guidance on. How you all choose to rule will be on you. I
So if it's a shell, we don't have a choice.
That
Well,
would
we
be
could set it for like,
from our guidance, from our directors.
So he's saying to charge the same for extracurriculars as classes, as sports. So,
It's the
That's the
county's
county's
discretion.
discretion.
oh,
Yeah, you
okay.
have to charge.
He says you have to charge, but he's
It's
not recommending
discretionary,
what.
not- That's
What
what.
the-
Showed you what different counties
Mhm.
charge.
Yeah,
We will. It is my guidance that I have been given and by the Department of Ed that we will be charging something.
be charging something. Yeah,
To
yeah.
you all.
Well, there's other
And I'll
things.
get guidance from Dr.
Fees
Hickey.
associated, but not the same for curriculum.
So then that's what the request was for the policies to be. put on. So then it could be.
so this is what you're suggesting, like put it on public comment.
Yeah, that's what I asked.
Yeah, and that's, it can go to public comment, and then, if you get a lot of comments back, we can revisit the
And what I'm
extracurricular.
asking is that we would like to update some of the language so it reads a little more clear.
Yes,
and-
Absolutely.
and
absolutely.
Makes sense.
Okay,
for everyone.
all right. So you're gonna make those updates, post
Yeah.
it for public comment.
Yeah.
And then it goes for what, 3 weeks?
It goes per board meeting. The three board meetings are 30 days.
Okay. And at that time, whenever we get everything back, we can look at it again. Is that correct?
You will, if you go out for the first reading, and then if there's a lot of comments, then that's a discussion. Then it goes out for the second reading, and if we need to make that base, another discussion. And the third time,
We
there's
pass
either
it.
additional discussion or you
Okay.
pass it.
And who gets those comments?
We get them and we
Public or-
provide it to you.
Okay, all right. That's fair enough. We'll see. Just Michael.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn.
All right, thank you. It's a lot of work. Thank you. All right. Well, we got to keep on the road. Oh, here we go. Okay. Any further discussion on old business? Do we? All right, I got it. All right, new business.
We do need a motion on item D, discussion and action to place proposed policy 2371 out on comment.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to place the policy out on public comment, please.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Nope. It goes to public comment after she makes her revisions.
Yes,
She's
ma'am.
got a few little things to put in there. All right, new business. Discussion and review of Pocahontas County Schools, purchase order 1230 and org chart.
Would you like for me to?
Sure.
Okay, way back in your packet under number 9, I think it has a number 9 on it and it has a capital A. As I'm starting to review board policies and administrative guidelines, policy number 1230.01 talks about, at the very end of the policy, it says the superintendent shall maintain a current organizational chart in which immediate references can be made to the board and the employment of the board. After talking to multiple people within the board office, I believe we had an organizational chart maybe 10 years ago. Over the years, that has eroded away or gotten lost or disappeared somewhere. So I have prepared an organizational chart to meet the requirements of our policy, and that's organization and chain of command is also in state law. So I just want to review that with the board. So the Board of Education, the direct report to the Board of Education is the superintendent of schools, and then lines connect various aspects. Under me, I have the executive, all employees fall under the superintendent of schools. Some employees have different roles. So the executive secretary and the certification coordinator is Miss Ollie Barkley, and she is my she only reports to me. The director of personnel and preschool is Chloe, so she oversees personnel. And then there is a little line up there to Miss Hammonds, the assistant director of technology, but she has another role where she just works with the superintendent of schools. And that role is the WEVA's contact in the county communicator. That's not an error of any way. That's what she's called in the West Virginia Department of Education. They're called the communicators, and I designated her that role. Okay. So then under me, we have supervisors of programs and processes and things that they manage within the board office and provide support and guidance to the principals. The principals are actually lateral in evaluation process to the directors, but the directors supervise many different aspects of what happens in the schools. So starting with the director of attendance, CTE, child nutrition, communities and schools and assessment, that falls under Miss Dunlap. And she has an executive secretary. Primarily, she focuses on child nutrition and service personnel testing. That's Miss Barlow. Communities and schools coordinators will fall under Miss Dunlap this year. She will be working with, because their primary charge is to work with attendance and student support services, which Miss Dunlap is over, so they have been moved over. We have Miss Hill, which was part of our state of emergency. She was put in a position of head of counseling services. And then we have our counselors that fall under Miss Hill in making sure that our counseling programs are fully operational. And again, that was part of our state of emergency, getting our comprehensive counseling plans. Then over the director of transportation, maintenance, and safety, we have Mr. Gibson. Under Mr. Gibson falls the chief mechanic. The chief mechanic doesn't evaluate because he doesn't have an administrative degree, but he supervises our bus mechanic, which is Mr. Owens. Then we have a supervisor of maintenance, which is Mr. McKinney. Mr. McKinney does not evaluate the people that's under him, but he supervises work orders and the delegation of duties. Mr. Gibson is the director and the administrator of those programs. So Mr. McKinney supervises Mr. Irvine and Mr. Walker, and Mr. Gibson is a supervisor, evaluator, Lord of all things when it comes to transportation. Yes. Moving on over, we have the Director of Special Education, Safety and Technology. His halftime position is posted to be filled next board meeting. He does all the contracting services, which is OT, PT, psychology, deaf, and the hard of hearing. He has the head nurse that's under him, Miss Frill. In a school system, we have to have an RN to operate under their license. They supervise the nursing program, but not the nurses. So Mr. Anderson supervises all of those because he has the administrative degree to do so. He's also the speech therapist that we have, the assistant director of technology, the coordinator of technology, and the lead TSS, Mr. Beveridge. All of those fall under Mr. Anderson's supervision. We have the coordinator of federal programs, community outreach, and curriculum, K-12. That is Miss Burns, and she has the academic coaches under her. Then we have the Director of Finance, is Ms. Hamilton. She has 2 direct reports under her, and that would be the Accounts Payable Supervisor and the Payroll and Benefits Supervisor. And then under the principals falls all of the functions of the school. So the principals supervise the assistant principals. They supervise any itinerant vacant positions. Their staff includes teachers, aides, cooks, school secretaries, counselors, custodians, pro officers, CISs, nurses, and graduation coach. So they are the evaluator, and that's their first, those people, the first chain of command is to go to their assistant principal, then their principal. There's not an assistant principal directly to the principal, but when it comes to program supervision, the directors do the program supervision. So, we modeled, or Ms. Hammonds modeled and put together our organizational chart. We collaborated on it based on the West Virginia Department of Education's organizational chart and organizational charts in other counties. I just wanted to share that. This will go in our employee handbook this year as we are brushing up on organization and chain of command. Is there any questions about who supervises who or how that works?
Are you posting it on the website?
Yes, ma'am. It'll be on my website and it'll be on our website and it'll be under the superintendent's view organizational chart. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Hammonds, we're going to put a button on every single director's page, and the view the organizational chart will also be posted so it can be accessed in all those locations.
So I only have one thing. So the bus garage, right?
Mhm.
So you have which I think they do an outstanding job. You have a supervisor that's overseen by an admin who's not a supervisor, right? And what I'm getting to is the assistant principal athletic director analogy. So we can talk about this another time, but I mean, I think you know what I'm talking about.
It's slightly different.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Any other discussion? Permission to schedule a special meeting August 10th at 10 a.m. personnel issues. Does anybody have a conflict? They can't be here for that.
What time is this? Evening?
10 a.m.
10
10
a.m.
a.m.
10. Okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm just.
I'm good.
Okay. Emery, you good?
Yeah, I think so. By then, all the gun make them pay.
Well,
I don't know. Depends on how much rain we get.
I do have some discussion about meetings though. And I'd like to see us get back in line. Policy number 0165 states here. Regular meetings, of a governing body, regular business of the public is conducted. Regular meetings of the board shall be public and held every first and third Tuesday of the month. I would like to, can we start adhering to this?
We have, Madam President, do you want me to say something? All of our meetings are scheduled on those dates except for when we have a special meeting or a work session.
So we are currently scheduling our meetings on the first and the third Tuesday of the month.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
We are completely abiding by that policy.
all right, thank you very much.
All right. We're good to go on that. Discussion and review of the memorandum MOU between the West Virginia Mountain State Academy, whatever that is, and Pocahontas County Schools, the SESC. What is that?
That's the MOU in here, just a cooperative agreement for services. On all of these things, if you just want to read them and if you looked over them, we don't have to have a discussion. I just put them on there unless you wanted a question.
Nope, I didn't have any good.
No.
Did anybody else have any? Okay. All right, so on new business.
D.
There was everything. All right. Make a motion to approve.
So moved.
All right, second. All right. Superintendent updates.
Gotta get a vote.
Up. Anybody? Any knows? It's getting late. Getting late. All in favor, say aye.
Ah.
All right, keep on rolling here. Superintendent updates, teacher and principal academies.
I just have the flyer that I wanted to hand out, to let everybody know what the summer professional development schedule is. We're excited. I've talked about it before, so I'm just gonna leave it at that unless there's a question of any sort.
Okay.
Yeah, we voted on all them items.
Yes. Sorry. You're fine. You can jump in anytime.
Let's make sure.
Get the woman what she needs. Update opening school agenda.
We have, all staff will be at Pocahontas County High School in the auditorium on the 12th and the 13th. On the 12th, because it is our first day with the staff, I'd like to invite the board president to address the staff on that day. And if any other board member would like to speak to the staff on that day, just let me know. We are having Brad Johnson. He's a national speaker. He's going to talk on culture and team building. And we had a really good opening last year, a really what I call fire on the mountain type of presenter that left the staff feeling rejuvenated. And this gentleman will do the same thing. And then on the 13th, we have some, the afternoon of the 12th, we're going to do training on the procurement process and various steps and fashions. And then on the 13th, we're going to do some data analysis and other things, and it'll also be there. But the board is invited to the opening day.
And what time is that? 8:30?
We're going to start at 8:30.
Okay.
Yes. And that's all I have.
Have a showing there. Board member remarks. Okay. Now's your
I got a
time.
couple things. Number one is I heard a lot from the public out there about the names of the personnel off the agenda. I'm glad that's back on there. People want to know about that. I don't know why, but they do. So I want to thank you for that. I want to congrats to the staff for the accolades and getting on the special education. Meetings, first and third Tuesdays. I like that. And past couple meetings, there's some bushes, and this is kind of off topic. But out here, when you turn off 219, there's some bushes along there. Who owns that property on the other side of that fence where that new building's built over there? That's what I'd like to do. Here's what I want to do. I'd like to approach them to cut the brush along that so we can see traffic coming when you're turning in. And I'll even pay for it. There's a little sign that says Board of Education Office, maybe pointing to our driveway. If it pleases the board, I'd like to approach that homeowner about that, if that's okay with you.
It's fine with me.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Board of Education is covered up by bushes and stuff.
Yeah.
Until you're right on it from somebody who doesn't frequent it.
Yeah.
I think I've got a sign there that says Pocahontas County Board. It's in the office. I'm not sure where it came from. And you can stick
Well,
it out someplace. I think.
If he's agreeable, would you mind put it up out there? I'll even put it up for you, of course. If it's pleases the homeowner. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
I just wanted, everyone to know that August 17th is open house at the Greenbank School, and I will be participating. They're gonna be doing snow cones and just different things.
Nice.
And, I told them they could assign me to whatever duty they needed me to do. So I just wanted you to know that I am participating in that.
Do all the principals are they letting you all know when their open house is, that we could put it on our website?
We haven't had our first principals meeting. That's where we collect that data and then we publish it in the newspaper and we put it on the website.
That would be good. Okay, okay. Yeah,
I'm good.
all right.
Oh,
Okay, I do have a couple things. July 30th, there's a meeting with all the coaches. I believe, Ms. Schaffner and Dr. Williams will be conducting that meeting to get their input on what they need, what they see their needs are for an activities director or athletic director, or how they intend to work with that. And then I'm asking that be brought up again on the agenda for the next meeting to try and get a handle on that. I guess one question I had in preparation for Miss Massetta's visit next time is, I don't know this, how much fundraising has been done at the school for their playground?
Yeah.
Is that anything we would know or have a handle on?
that would have to be approved by the board if it's a fundraiser.
We haven't done any fundraiser requests for that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
There is an account established in Arlington Elementary for the, I think it was a pavilion. And I don't recall how much was in that account.
Yeah, I wonder, I mean, I certainly would ask.
Still have like 10,000. No, that was for the shade structure. So that's,
Yeah, that's what you got.
yes, but there is a separate fund at Arlington Elementary, different from the grant. But I don't recall how much was in that account.
Yeah. And I guess looking in your pocketbooks to see what we would have available
Yeah.
for them as well, just, it sounds like it's gonna need a lot of money. So, I'm sure anything we would contribute would be good, but we gotta make sure that we're responsible
Yeah.
with that. And, have they done any fundraising to, offset some of this as well? I don't know. I don't know that answer, but maybe you will.
For the fence board president, when we had our work session, we talked about the money that we have set aside for the board to do projects.
Mhm.
Mr. Gibson and I talked earlier today about how much a fence where the old board office used to be. And I think he said the appropriate term is the same fence as is that dairy land, marked land, dairy land, which is a cattle fence. He priced out placing that fence there. And we had it was
It's around 15. I'll have to dig back.
about $15,000. So we do have the money to contribute to the fence if that's a safety issue that you should want to fund in that amount of money. You have room in that money to allocate that
Okay.
month.
That's also a safety issue as well.
What's there now was nothing but the 2x4 frame. We had the orange, like construction fencing on it, it probably deteriorated. Put chicken wire on it and it's ugly, but it says this is us and this is you.
Mhm.
It's separated.
I feel like we need to do something either way in light of this playground.
Yeah,
Yeah, we do.
yeah,
Absolutely.
It's our obligation.
okay. All right. Well, when she comes next time, we might have some good news. All right. Any other discussion?
Man, I'm good.
All right.
Good meeting.
Hearing none, it's adjourned. Next board meeting is August 4th at 6 p.m. I think
August
4th,
4th at 6 is our regular.
Regular meeting.
regular.